You're welcome to this edition of the Power Circuit, a program brought to you by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, to inform you about its efforts towards advancing bulk power transmission and its other roles in the power sector. This program further showcases the giant strides of the federal government through the Minister of Power in giving Nigerians remarkable power supply experience. Here are the headlines of the informative reports specially packaged for your viewing delight. Federal government inaugurates the governing board of NEMSA. House of Representatives commends TCN over improved power transmission services. TCN signs service level agreement with Disco for grid improvement and better service delivery. You also get details of a consultative meeting between TCN and the National Executives of the Senior Staff Association of Electricity and Allied Companies, SEAC, as they discuss mutual relations. I am Amara Agugesi. The federal government has inaugurated the governing board of the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency, NEMSA, 7 years after the agency was established. The Minister of State for Power, Mr. Jedi Alba, who inaugurated the board and the reconstituted management team of the agency, charged the 9-member board to be committed. Here is the full report.
The constituted board is led by the chairman, Engineer Suleiman Yahya, with members from the 6 geopolitical zones, a representative from the Federal Ministries of Power and Finance, and the Managing Director, Engineer Peter Eweso. The Minister of State for Power, Mr. Jedi Agba, while inaugurating the board at the Power House in Abuja, urged them to be dedicated to delivering their best.
NEMSA, as an agency, has achieved a lot in its short lifespan. We don't need to go into all that. Board members and the executive management team will find out that when they settle down to their work. It is therefore my privilege to announce the following members of the governing board of the agency as approved by Mr. President.
He noted that the appointment was on a part-time basis as he charged the management to give the board members full cooperation.
It is important to note that the appointment of the board is part-time for a period of 3 years, renewable after another period of 3 years, and that's the term of it. One term, renewable, after that, you are not eligible for reappointment or renewal. Please take note, don't forget, it is part-time, it's not a full-time job.
He also announced the constituted management team, which includes 3 executive directors and 6 general managers, with the general manager legal becoming the company secretary.
Let me therefore officially congratulate all of you for the appointments you've just gotten, and note that you have been selected in line with provisions of the law and based on character as well as professional and practical experience in the industry. In line with Mr. President's approval, it is my honor and privilege to inaugurate the management board and governing team of the agency, NEMSA, today. Thank you.
The permanent secretary in the ministry, Mr. Christian Oha, said NEMSA enforces technical standards in the power sector as he charged the board to keep to the mandates.
It is a statutory mandate to have a board in place for proper guidance in line with the policy direction of President Muhammad Buhari government.
In his remarks, the board chairman, Engineer Yahya, said he will strive hard to make sure that the earnings of the nation will be provided for.
We want to thank Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces for giving us the opportunity to serve in this capacity. We want to now use the opportunity to assure Mr. President, the Minister of Power, and the entire nation that we strive hard to make sure that the yearning of this nation in providing reliable, safe, and uninterrupted power supply is achieved within short pace of time in line with our mandate.
On his part, the Managing Director of NEMSA, Engineer Peter Eweso, was grateful to President Muhammadu Buhari and the Minister for constituting the board 7 years after the agency was established.
I want to say I stand here today very tall in the sense that at least it's happening today and it's a day of joy for this agency.
The House of Representatives Committee on Power has commended the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, for the significant milestones achieved with the successful transmission of the new all-time peak power generation of 5,520.4 megawatts to distribution load centers in the country.
The Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Power, Honorable Magaji Dao Aliu, gave the commendation when the TCN management team, led by the acting managing director and CEO of TCN, Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, on the 2021 budget proposal before the House of Representatives Committee on Power at the National Assembly in Abuja. Honorable Aliu further assured of the lawmakers' resolve to ensure more funding for TCN.
Seek the involvement of our leadership, both in the House and the Senate, to ensure you get proper funding. Because without the transmission, there won't be distribution. So we have to really clean up the transmission aspect. I wish also to commend you for your second bid in 2 years. Only in this year, we are at 3.5, and we are able to get to 5,500 megawatts. So you should clap for yourself. We are seeing MD. I say it as it is. We are seeing a lot of value addition in your tenure. If it is otherwise, I will tell you. But I will wish to commend you. And I wish to address the clerk to write a letter to you, or write a letter to TCN for commendation of what they have achieved so far.
The lawmakers said the committee was keeping to its duty of providing oversight functions for the power sector as he lauded TCN for the clarity in the effects of COVID-19 on the economy.
2020 budget performance, and I believe this is the first time that they had been clear and explicit. And we can see the magnitude of the problem we have in this country. Last year, they wrote a letter to us indicating they have almost 165 billion naira debt or abandoned projects. Hoping that this year will be better, but Allah in His mercy brought in COVID.
Engineer Abdulaziz, during the 2021 budget proposal defense, said completing more projects will enhance the capacity of the transmission network to deliver more electricity to the national grid. He said TCN has already executed 39 of such power projects and that they were having multiple impacts in the power sector.
We have 39 completed projects, that is 28 substations and 11 transmission lines. 25 projects are completed and commissioned to service without outstanding payments to contractors.
The TCN head, who was in the company of key management team members, further gave an update on the performance of the 2020 budgetary appropriation for TCN. He said while 50% was released, TCN utilized 64% of that, but was hindered from utilizing all the fund due to the disruption caused by COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown measures. Engineer Abdulaziz also mentioned other issues affecting TCN projects and budget implementation.
Number one is right of way. We have issue with communities. Then we have delayed insurance of import duty exemption certificate, which is IDEC. We have variation claims by contractors due to cost escalation arising from poor funding. Then in some cases, we have legal issues, we have insecurity, we have theft and vandalization, destruction of our infrastructure, effect of COVID-19, which took away more than a quarter of the year. Then deep mix. For some time now, we are unable to process payments on deep mix platform. This is causing a lot of delay. Then we have also slow pace of release of funds from the Accountant General Office. Variation in cost, because as I mentioned earlier, some of these projects are from 2001. So obviously the contractors will look for variation. Then the process involved in getting approval is also lengthy. We have to get approval from BPP, from Ministerial Tender Board, and even sometimes from FEC. So here we are thinking that in order to resolve this issue, if we can increase the threshold of TCN Tender Board and Ministerial Tender Board, this will help us in reducing the time we waste in going to FEC. Now, the nature of our projects. Most of components of TCN projects cannot be big on the shelves. They need time to be manufactured. At least if you want to manufacture a transformer, it may take you up to 6 months. So that's also a factor. Then by leaving the projects for a long time, our equipment get deterioration due to exposure to several dry and rainy seasons and other adverse weather conditions. Loss of warranty on the procured equipment from original equipment manufacturers. Rising cost of project due to several variation requests by the contractors. In some cases, we have few court cases. Then very long denial of the expected benefits to the people, crippling injustice and negatively affecting the entire economy.
However, the company said it found a way around some of these issues by being innovative and seeks the intervention of the lawmakers to ease these challenges.
Things we want to take so that it can help us to move forward. We have project prioritization, emphasis on completion of ongoing projects, collaboration with state government in settling right-of-way issues, deployment of IGR with the aim of project completion, deployment of in-house capacity in completion of some projects. Procurement department has been asked to expedite action on the process without jeopardizing the laydown procedures.
We'll be right back after this break.
Verify that land before you buy it. To drastically reduce the incidence of building under the transmission right-of-way or encroaching on designated TCN land, members of the public are hereby requested to verify land near or along transmission line route before purchasing it. Verification should be made in the Land Development Authority or at the TCN office. This would help in drastically reducing the incidence of building under transmission line right-of-way and save us all the problem of pulling down the structure or truncating transmission line expansion projects in your community due to court injunction. Help us serve you better. Verify that land before you buy it.
Towards establishing a mutual process for improving bulk power supply services, the management of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has signed a service level agreement with the management of Yola Electricity Distribution Company. Here is more on this report.
At the document signing ceremony, which held at the corporate headquarters of TCN at the Powerhouse in Abuja, the acting managing director and CEO of TCN, Engineer Sule Abdulaziz, said the process to firmly root the service level agreement SLA regime started 8 months ago.
As we are all aware, we have been waiting for this day to come. For the last 8 months, we have been on one thing: review. But I think finally we have reached something.
He said that going forward, the SLA will promote standards and greater efforts in providing stable power supply for Nigerians.
This is just like a temporary SLA, which will expire in December. So we hope when we see how this one works, the next one we are going to sign in January will be a better one, and more people will have more confidence to sign. You are all welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
The General Manager, Legal and Company Secretary at TCN, Hajia Fatima Lawal, while explaining the essence of the service level agreement, said the regime will boost the delivery of services between TCN and the DISCOs.
We're quite delighted that we're here today to sign off on the SLA. As we know, this is a test run. It's only valid till December, the end of December 31st, 2020, after which we will now, when we have certain data on frequency of interruptions and other things, we will now sign another SLA in January.
The Executive Director, Independent System Operations at TCN, Engineer Maman Lawa, lauded Yola Disco for braving the odds to begin the litmus test for an improved interface between TCN and the Disco.
This will actually provide a litmus test, for other agreements that will enter into in respect of this service level agreement. I can assure you that the ISO will play a role, in a manner that will be acceptable to all parties. Thank you. And I would also believe that as we get into the next year, we'll have learned, from our mistakes, if any, as they arise. So we can only improve, with time. Yes, you have our cooperation, and you really have our understanding.
While the acting managing director and CEO of TCN, Engineer Sule Abdulaziz, signed the agreement on behalf of TCN, the managing director and CEO of Yola Electricity Distribution Company, Alhaji Baba Umara Mustafa, signed for the Disco. The process was witnessed by officials from the Infrastructure Advisory Team in the Office of the Vice President, the Bureau of Public Enterprise, management officials of TCN, and those from the Yola Disco. Shortly after the signing ceremony, the managing director and CEO of Yola Electricity Distribution Company, Alhaji Baba Umara Mustafa, said he was hopeful that the historic interface deal will improve services in the power sector.
So we at Yola Disco will welcome the agreement. It's an issue of service delivery to the customers. If TCN will be binded by the agreement at the same time, Yola Disco will be binded by the agreement, I think it's a very good idea, and customers will enjoy our uninterrupted services. In her remarks, a member of the Infrastructure Advisory Team in the Office of the Vice President, Nikki Ume, said the agreement, which all the discos are expected to sign, will guide the implementation of the service-based tariff.
Today, it was great that Yola Disco showed up and they signed the agreement, which is just going to be like a 2-month temporary agreement before a further review, which would happen in January of 2021. The benefit of this agreement is it clearly shares the responsibility between the discos and the TCN. So everybody is clear about what their failures are and what the interruptions will be and what the consequences will be based on the monetary consequence of the service failure, either on the TCN side or on the disco side. So this would actually drive a discipline.
The management of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has held a joint consultative meeting with the National Executives of the Senior Staff Association of Electricity and Allied Companies, SIAC, towards improving mutual working relationships. The meeting, which was held at the TCN corporate headquarters, was led by the acting managing director and CEO of TCN, Engineer Sule Abdulaziz, along with his management team, and the national executives of SIAC, led by the President General, Comrade Chris Okonkwo.
Speaking at the meeting, the TCN acting MD, Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, appealed to stakeholders to embrace peace to promote TCN and the power sector growth.
I want to encourage us, both the association and management, and all other people that have a stake in this industry, to resolve to make peace and move this company forward. We must not necessarily look at things that happened in the past to determine our present and lead us into the future, but they should serve as learning curves for us to achieve greater heights. This meeting has become very imperative to enable us to rub minds together so that both management and association can be on the same page.
Engineer Abdulaziz says since May 2020, when the present management came on board, a lot has been achieved with the cooperation of the staff of TCN.
And within this short period of time, we have been able to achieve a lot of things through the cooperation of the staff. We have continued with the transmission rehabilitation expansion program. We have completed installation of 100 MVA at Ogba. We have finished construction of Gagara substation. We have finished installation of 130 MVA at Ishain. We have finished the installation of 150 MVA at Kumboso Kano. Then we have carried over 87 major maintenance across the 9 regions. We have reached and achieved all-time peak generation of 5,520.4 megawatts on 30th October 2020, which is the highest ever obtained. We have also created a new sub-region at Gwagwalada and work centers at Katsina and Jalingo. We have boosted our IGR to improve wheeling capacity. We have also provided of space, maintenance tools, test equipment, and adequate funding.
He also highlighted the progress made with multilateral donor agencies so far.
We constantly meeting by Zoom with our international donors agencies in order to fast-track our project activities. We have also opened a letter of credit with Central Bank of Nigeria for the supply of various capacities of power transformers. We have also recently signed project agreement with African Development Bank and some other donor agencies. We have also conducted a retirement training program for over 73 retired staff. Training of newly recruited engineers is being conducted in Ishobo at the moment. We also set up a committee to review impress for the region, sub-region, and work centers, both in ISO and TSP, to improve efficiency. There has been greater synergy between all stakeholders in the power chain. These are some of our achievements so far within the first 6 months of our coming in.
The TCN henchman further reiterated the need for peace at TCN.
I want to conclude these opening remarks by not mentioning or repeating the need of peace in this company. At this wise, I want to enjoin the national body of the association to put their house in order, unify the body, and speak with one voice. My fellow comrades, once again, you are welcome to the meeting, and thank you very much.
In his remarks, the President General of SIAC, Comrade Chris Okonkwo, said the union was proud to be at the meeting. He assured that whatever is needed to be done for the good of the management will be done.
We are proud to be here today. You have shown your great desire for peace, and of course, peace and progress. That you have captured many of them now. I'm not surprised you have achieved this in 6 months. Why? Because you have had relative peace in the 6 months. And it did not come just like that. It took your own attitude, and of course, with your management, to make sure things remain peaceful up to this point to achieve this.
As we close here are the major headlines. Federal government inaugurates the governing board of NEMSA. House of Representatives commends TCN over improved power transmission services. TCN signs service level agreement with Yola Disco for grid improvements. And we also told you that the TCN management and the national executives of the Senior Staff Association of Electricity and Allied Companies, SIAC, held a meeting to boost mutual relations. We thank you for your precious time with us on the Power Circuit program. This episode and others are available on the TCN YouTube channel. Keep your comments and feedback coming to us through these platforms as you support TCN in delivering on its mandate of robust bulk power transmission and grid operation. Be reminded that coronavirus is real, so keep observing the safety protocols stipulated by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, to stay safe. I am Amara Agugesi. See you next week.